What do I do with my hands?
Go.
It's a podcast, Greg. You don't need to do anything with your hands.
But
welcome to episode 65.
Normally on my phone here. Can I step out and phone? Because this is weird. What do I do? I normally don't have pants on.
I know, listen to this audio quality. It's not like... I am Greg.
Hey, what happened to Stefan?
We actually just talked about He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. He's got a lot of...
He listens, though. Hey, Stefan.
He doesn't listen. He
What?
told me he doesn't have time to listen.
Oh, he doesn't have time for us anymore.
You know you're busy when.
Yeah.
That guy.
I don't have time to listen.
I told him.
You don't have time to listen either. I know we talked about this on the podcast.
I'm going to be front with you. I've listened to maybe 3 podcasts in the last year and a half.
We know. Yeah, you're just staying on the subject of WWE, what we were talking about before. You're the Miz to our not Miz.
I am the show, so I don't have to watch the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, as you can tell, this week, I'm back in Winnipeg, and...
You're loving every minute of it?
Loving every minute of it. This might be a permanent thing now, where I'm here every week.
Greg actually became a pilot and got his pilot's license over the weekend.
Yep, exactly.
You can do it too. Yeah, private plane and everything. It's a Flintstone plane, so you have to run real fast at the top of a hill, and you got to pray you're not going to hit it hydro.
I live on a cul-de-sac, so we just put some cones out, and he just flies it right down, and he has to stop before the house is.
Here's the thing.
We got a big spring.
He's got about 300 feet.
It's in northwestern Ontario. There's actually hills because it's Canadian Shield. So there's hills that I can run off of and jump and actually get some good flying distance out of. Here I'm fucked. Because Manitoba is flat as fuck.
So, on the way home, it takes you about 6 days. But on the way home, it takes 2 hours.
So, on the way from Kenora to Winnipeg, it's quick. It's normally 2.5. Other way, I have to run the entire way. And I feel like Terry Fox is a hero and a saint. Not making fun of
Watch your mouth.
What?
I have to run... It's 200 kilometers. It's a lot.
You get a bungee cord and hook it onto the back of the guy's bumper, and make sure your feet aren't on the ground when you hook it. Okay, it's gonna hurt. You'll skin the top of your feet. It will feel terrible.
It's fine.
You're gonna wish you had Hobbit feet with hair, so at least they'll give you cushioning.
I just want a hoverboard to be real. I want it to be real.
That was a couple weeks ago. That
came
day.
out.
Did you watch? Have you ever seen them?
I've seen the first one.
Oh, I haven't.
I've seen all 3.
And
I saw the first one, and I watched it about 6 months ago for the first time. No, that's a lie. I watched it in March.
To give context, Back to the Future. Back to it.
The first one? I thought it was good.
Okay, so it holds up.
For a movie that was made 30 years ago?
Perfect.
I thought
And you watched it recently? Okay, that's
Have you seen it?
No, none of it.
And it's mostly...
I'll get around to it.
It's mostly practical
Greg,
effects, so it's not one of those movies you watch it and you're like, oh, it's fucking awful.
Yeah,
It's not like Terminator 1. Let's just get that.
I haven't seen Terminator 1, but we all know what movies
But Terminator
terrible.
2...
That movie was great.
Yeah, exactly.
That was masterpiece.
Is that the one with Sarah Connor? Or Sarah?
She's in the first 2.
She's in the first.
The second one's just a masterpiece.
I haven't seen any of the Terminators as well.
Watch the
I
second one.
haven't seen a lot of movies.
Watch the first one because you
watch.
have to watch the first one. Watch the second one.
I just
You
recently...
could skip 3 and 4. The one that came out this year was eh.
Oh, okay.
So really, just watch 1 and 2.
Watch 2.
Call it quick.
Watch 2 50 times. It's great.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
I haven't seen it in probably 5 years, so I might have to watch it again.
It's on Netflix. It was on Netflix.
We can Netflix.
We Netflix and chill together.
That's fine. I don't Netflix and chill with anyone. We've discussed.
We both have single beds. We can Netflix and chill.
Okay, this is going.
We can
the wrong
Skype
road.
each other and Netflix and chill via Skype.
This is a new thing.
Yes.
We've invented the Netflix chill Skype.
For bros.
For bros.
The bro Netflix
The bro
chill Skype.
Netflix chill.
Bro. Yeah, brosh.
Bro.
Brosh.
Bro. I think that's the name of this episode.
Brosh?
No, Netflix chill.
Netflix
Skype.
chill Skype.
No, it's Netflix and chill. Skype.
Skype. There you go. Perfect. Okay, let's lead into it. What are we here for, folks?
Just call it Netflix and Bro.
Netflix and Bro.
Yeah, because you're broing out.
Well, but Netflix. No, come on, we have to lure in the people with it. We're clickbaiting this. If you listen to the podcast, you know that one where we clickbaited people into it, Dan.
Okay. Well,
But no one really clicked on that
You
one.
and your life.
People are not falling for clickbait
I just want to say, we're slowly becoming exactly like the Steve Dangle podcast in terms of... Dan, did you pay for that hoodie you wear?
No.
Did you... That was a gift I gave him. Dan, where'd you get those pants?
I bought them.
God damn it! Oh,
He's buying things
On
against
sale.
the rules.
On sale.
Oh, okay.
Not full price.
What about
These
the socks?
Socks were a gift.
Oh, it counts. It totally counts. It totally counts.
That's what I'm wearing.
I paid for all of the things.
I paid for all the things except for my socks.
This shirt.
I'm wearing.
This shirt, free. Given to me.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm leading to.
That's what we're saying is you don't buy things, Dan.
No,
You get them given to you. Can you cut us in on the deal of whatever you have?
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll
talk to Jess and
I
see.
like how he laughed.
No.
Whatever you get me, you got to get this size and that size as well.
Anything in double
We're
XL?
done.
Maybe triple. He's kind of getting fat now.
You?
Yeah.
No,
I tried to put on a suit that I got custom in April. Trying to put it on. I'm like, Mom, it's not working. I can't do the button up. I have to like
That's why
cut off my
you say
airflow.
you're muscular. You're getting muscular. Not getting fat. You're getting muscular.
I'm all the beer that I've been drinking over the years is catching up to me.
What
It's
happened to
fine.
the no beer pizza thing?
I suck
What
at
happened
sta-
to,
I
what
just
happened
get
to
the
writing?
best
No,
every
remember you
time.
said he was going to do a blog too? Remember that?
Yeah, what
I
happened
do.
to that?
I'm sure we made a bet, but I forgot to write that bet down.
I have like an excerpt written, and I just can't think of how else to write.
You know, all fuel. You don't even need to be about hockey. This is the last non-sports comment I'm going to say, and then we're going to start the podcast.
It's never last non-sports
I
comment.
know. You guys, I'm
we
gonna
have really
tweet-
become a lifestyle podcast.
Oh, we have. I'm
with
gonna-
sports talk.
Dan, have you seen Star Wars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Mm-hmm.
In no particular order.
I've watched them in order, the correct order, which is 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, I watch them in actual order of the world, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I digress. I'm going to tweet a link that everyone should read about how Jar Jar Binks is a Sith god. He's a Sith god.
I think it was a Jedi.
Sith god. Like, he's like Drake, a Sith god? Sith god? Sith?
I
Just
don't know what
figured it
you're
out.
doing with this.
Guy in the new movie that's going to take over for Darth? It's Jar Jar.
That's what the guy writes about.
He's done.
It's not
Sorry, guys,
Jar Jar.
I have a Slurpee here. We shouldn't have Slurpees. Those pick up, like, oh, Greg said we had a comment about, like, we should try and Skype. We should. But
Well,
your
I'm here now.
connection- No, exactly. You're here now. Now we got to just cut
I've
it.
actually been on the master instant transmission. My next goal is hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah,
And I can
like,
get ripped.
Good luck.
Like, you can get ripped. Can you get ripped? I thought it just heals you.
No, hyperbolic time chamber is 365 days in the hyperbolic time chamber is a day in the real world. That's how fast time goes
Hold
there.
on. There's got to be like, what's
So
the
I would
reverse
age-
hyperbolic time chamber, though?
So it means like a year in our time is
No,
a
no,
day
I know
there.
what it is. What's the reverse? Like, say if they're like, okay, you can use this all you want, and you can get shredded and jacked.
That is a hyperbolic time chamber.
But if you have one beer, you go back 2 years.
What?
Would
No.
you do that? Or
What?
take away no Slurpees.
For a year. Well, I'm in the hyperbolic time chamber. I
No,
can't
no,
have
no.
a
Like
Slurpee.
once you've done the hyperbolic time chamber, if you have one Slurpee, your body overnight go back.
That
to
is
what you were
bullshit.
2
I'm
years
not
ago.
taking that. I'm not taking that.
So
I'm
you
not taking
need
that
then
deal.
no hyperbolic time chamber for
You don't
you.
get
No, I get it.
You don't get it.
Dad,
If
I'm
this is
not
your
sure
first-
the
You better
things
have
that you
something else
love a
for
lot.
Christmas.
If this is your first time ever listening to the Last Man In podcast,
Sorry.
yeah, that's it.
Mostly for
Thank
Greg,
you.
a little bit of Cam, and not at all for me.
thank you for clicking. I hope you're still here. We love having you. And yeah, this is why we've lost some viewers. You guys don't talk about hockey. Well,
It's
because
called listeners,
yeah.
idiot.
What did I say?
Viewers. By the way, I'm so
I'm gonna
sorry.
sue myself.
I'm so sorry about Andrew Ladd last week.
What?
Remember we were talking, you're like, I not once said Andrew Ladd, I said Blake Wheeler. And I'm like, no, you'll listen to the listener. I was listening to it, and as I'm editing it, I'm like, fuck. I'm an asshole.
I said Blake Wheeler, didn't
Yeah,
I?
like I was adamant. I thought he said Andrew Ladd. So for like 30 seconds, we're just like, no, you said Andrew Ladd. I did not. I said Blake Wheeler. Andrew Ladd, Blake Wheeler. And we were going back and forth. Anyways, speaking of, how's the Jets doing? How the gosh
Okay.
darn Jets doing?
Well, they played 4 games since last podcast. Let me rattle them off for you. Winnipeg played Chicago, last year's Stanley Cup championship. 1-3-1 with Hutchinson in net. He is that team's kryptonite. He has dominated them since he started. I think he's what, 4-0?
Or 3-0-1 or something?
3-0-1 or 4-0-1 now.
4-0-1 now.
Take those
4-0-1.
numbers.
I take those numbers good as well.
Hey, hypothetically, if the Jets were to meet the Hawks in the playoffs,
Yes.
would you just put Hutchin?
I don't know.
And then
No. Not last year. Maybe now. Maybe you play that matchup a little bit because they're obviously not going to sweep him. But you go with, if he's got the confidence and he's in their heads a little bit, it's a little bit of a mind game, right?
Or you play Hutch only in Chicago
Boom.
and then have it home.
But it worked in Winnipeg.
Well, yeah, but if he's
It's
already
the
in their
first
head-
time they've beaten them in Winnipeg.
Has
I'm
anyone
pretty
ever
sure.
done, like, I'm sure that's happened. Has anyone ever done that where they actually play, like, goalie home, goalie, like,
No.
goalie in
In
series?
playoffs?
No.
Yeah.
I've never
never
seen a split goalie in playoffs. The first team that might do it could be the Dallas Stars, even though they're kind of using Antoniemi more than Kari Lehtonen. Yeah. I do want to talk about Dallas later.
I'm just going to say, though, I was at the game.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Chicago, if there's ever a year that they might not make the playoffs.
It's this year.
I think it's this year. Because they've lost a lot of guys. Granted, they have some young guys that are playing really well, but I was looking at their roster. It's pretty thin up front.
Guys like Teravainen and Panarin are just going to continue to get better.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's that experiencing. But they did send down Brian Bickle, who was, like, monster in their 2013 Cup win.
Really? Because he was playing in the game here.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they sent him down at some point.
They put him on waivers, but he cleared and they kept him.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Works.
Yeah.
No, I thought I was with you on that one, too.
I thought he was sent down, but he just was put on waivers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like... Hutchinson, but last year, to get totally back on track here, last year when the Jets played Chicago in March, I believe it was March 30th or 31st, I was at the game, and the Jets gave up a third period lead to them, but Pavlik was in net that game because he was playing the hot streak, and it's been a while since that happened, and they scored 2 late third period goals to win the game. Now, last year, I think, with the way Pavlik finished the season, I think if it turned out to be Chicago-Winnipeg, they would have gone with Pavlik. Now, with your question to address it, I think it's an interesting thing. Do you play the goalie with a hot hand that might be in their heads now? We'll see how the rest of the season series ends up and see if he continues to play against Chicago and if he can really get in their heads and bother them. Sky's the limit.
I know it's early, but just to the point about Chicago, if the playoffs started today, the top 3 seeds in the Central would be Dallas, St. Louis, Winnipeg, and the 2 wild cards would be Minnesota, Nashville. Chicago would not be in the playoffs.
The other team not in the playoffs would be Anaheim.
No, they are right at the bottom.
Exactly. So I think it's still early.
It's early, but it's very interesting.
We're an 8.
But how
10%? 10% of the way through the year already.
I'll pull up the standings. Like, how good is that division, though? It's ridiculous.
The Central Division is
We
ridiculous.
talk about it. It's the best.
You
take one team away and put them in pretty much any other division. They're going to be a leader.
Right now, the top 5 teams in the league, 3 of them come from the Central Division. Dallas, St. Louis, and Winnipeg are all in the top 5 in the NHL right now.
With their records?
Overall. Dallas is second, St. Louis and Winnipeg are tied 4th and 5th.
What?
Overall.
And number 1's Montreal?
It goes Montreal, Dallas, Rangers, St. Louis, Winnipeg. Minnesota and Nashville are also 8th and 9th.
Hey, rest of the league, Central Division.
Woo!
And then you have Colorado as 26th. Yeah. But I digress.
We already said Colorado's the outlier,
So 5 of the top 10 teams in the league are from one division. With 3 of the 5.
Oh, God. It sucks. Okay. It
That's
sucks,
crazy.
like, say, being a fan of Philly or Toronto. When you can do those Eastern swings, back in the day, it's like, woo, going to Alberta, let's do this. Now it's like, oh, good, we get to go to Alberta back to back.
No, the worst is, like, I remember, like, teams used to love going to, like, Winnipeg and Nashville and Minnesota. Now it's like, great, we gotta go Winnipeg, then Nashville, then Minnesota.
That's the worst road trip I've ever heard of, by the way, Greg. That's why we don't work for the NHL schedule. Winnipeg, Nashville, Minnesota. Look at that on the map. They're all back-to-backs. You need sleep, fucker, sleep.
You have 3 games in a row. You gotta go Winnipeg, then go Nashville. Then Minnesota, then you're in Tampa the next night.
While we're at it, we're gonna throw the Thrashers back in. You're right there.
Man,
Nashville's like 2
You know what I
hours.
was looking at? Just because San Jose the other night, they wore their throwback vintage
Those are
jerseys.
beauties.
And then, because the internet's the internet, Reddit, someone posted, like, trying to, like, the Sharks made a video of trying to get fans jacked up about the Sharks and the NHL. And it's like, I'll find the link, I'll tweet it. It's like, Shark fever, and it's like just like 3-minute video of sharks and like hockey, ice, yeah, and it's from the 90s, and it's the weirdest thing ever. And then I just
Sharks.
remember when SJ Sharkey got stuck on the road, and he's like, everyone's like, oh wow, what kind of trick is this? And the guy in the suit couldn't take the suit off because he traumatized kids apparently, and he's like, come on, please, I can shatter every bone in my body if I bone. So naughty.
Oh boy.
What game did the Jets play after the Hawks?
What are you talking about?
I want to be a mascot and
I
take
like-
the head off and just be like,
I still think the best top 10 that TSN ever did was like top 10 mascots getting hurt. So you have like Sharky up there, then you have the Philadelphia Fanatic that goes into or I think it was him, or it was
on the ATV in baseball.
There was the ATV, but there was also the guy that had the skis, went into the wall and like broke his ankle, and it just went like this.
Oh yeah, didn't Winnipeg like the Gold Ice make
Yeah,
it? But
they
it wasn't
did.
Goldie; it was a kid
Yeah, he was on like a skidoo and
in summer.
in summer,
Yeah.
and went into a dugout.
So it wasn't Bryan Sveinson.
No,
Sorry. Sorry to...
Whoa,
Hey, sir.
whoa!
Sir,
You
actually,
can ruin
speaking of
kids' dreams there.
Brian, actually, I'll tweet an article from
Friend
him. He
of the
wrote,
show.
It is friend of the show. I'll tweet an article of his as well. He posted just on Reddit, be just writing his thoughts on Dustin Byfuglien.
Hashtag shout out.
Shout out?
Shout out.
Shout out. Okay,
It's Brian. He doesn't get shout outs.
that's not nice. That's not nice at all.
Give context. He's a goalie.
Oh, he did. Yeah, shout outs. First game of the season.
Some warm-up.
It's funny because that almost is dead air. If your voice doesn't pick up there, it's just dead air for like 3 seconds.
Yeah. All right.
Although, like, we could be... Oh, what was that guy's name? That just talks about corks for... Did you ever listen to that episode?
All right, let's continue with our episodes.
All right.
People are gone
All right.
already.
Okay, sorry. If you're still here, Winnipeg played Columbus on Hallows Eve.
Hallows Eve.
Gate
And-
night.
No. Gate night's October
Thank you.
30th.
You're right. It's the night before. You go out and smash everything.
Yeah. You egg people's houses on
true.
gate night. If you do that...
Shame
don't
on
know.
you. You're a
No.
terrible person.
The Republic of Ireland's driving commercial. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
I also have to tweet that. I'm going to write all the links right now. I'm going to go silent.
There's a lot of things to do, Cam. They played Columbus. Columbus, Bonnet, last place team in the league. Made them switch their goalie after the first period.
Bobrovsky
they just
looks
pulled out-
awful this year.
He
Holy
said himself
moly.
that he doesn't have any confidence right now. And that's the first thing you want to hear from your goalie. The other thing in this broadcast, well, everyone knows that Tortorella is the new coach of Columbus. He already called out Ryan Johansson, called him fat, lazy, and slow, and out of shape, of course. And Ryan Johansson, the best player on that team, does not look any of those things, and is still extremely talented. So, I don't know what Columbus is doing. I know we talked about it and touched on it last week about Tortorella there, but if he's calling out players already, and he might be gone by the end of the season.
Well, and he told Johansson he was out of shape, which, fine. But then Johansson in the game was running around like an enforcer because I guess he felt he had to prove a point to someone, and he's not that kind of player. And it was just, it felt very, very odd to see him in that. And it's
just disappointing because he's a good player. And
I think when we did the team previews, I said, like, their defense is not very good. I could see them being bad.
yeah,
I didn't think they'd be this bad. But their D's not great. I mean...
They have young guys. They have a young defense. That's their thing. Like they've got Savard, Ryan Murray. So they've got guys that are just coming up through the ranks. And I know that if one of our fans or one of the guys that I know is listening, that's a Columbus Blue Jacket fan, he
God,
would be.
rest his poor soul.
I know. I feel bad
Who
for him
is
right
that?
now.
That guy's...
I must. You know what? He must have.
He's probably a monster Rick Nash fan, I could say. The Rick Nash is quite the player, is he not?
I think he's more. No, I think he's more of a Jared Bull fan.
Jared
Oh.
Bull.
Yeah. Do you know who that is?
Would you throw your money away and buy a Jared Bull jersey?
I don't think I would.
I wouldn't either. He's
He
awful.
might
I don't
sound
know.
like. I think he sounds like the type of guy that would though.
The only thing I know about Jared Bull is he takes punches to the face very well. Because he fought
That's all that's... You know, that's...
Because he fought Peluso in that game and it did not go well for him.
That's how we describe Columbus Blue Jackets fans. They just take punches at face real well. And there goes anyone from Ohio.
Okay.
As I was gonna say,
Not that anyone really
listen.
was there from Ohio.
However, to his point, to any Columbus Blue Jacket fan, I'm sure you can name a lot of talent on this team. There is talent there. Like Nick Foligno is playing good. Like he's a good captain. Brandon Dubinsky's good. Brandon Saad's good. There's a lot of pluses to this team.
David Clarkson.
I said pluses.
He wasn't even playing.
He's injured.
Damn it.
Is he injured?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have Scotty Hartnell. He's an agitator.
But yes,
Yeah.
they have talent. Every team has
They have
talent.
guys.
And it's disappointing because I want them to succeed. And this is a disappointing start for them. Hopefully they can dig their way out of it. I don't think Tortorella was the way to do it, but nonetheless.
Also hurting their fan base because they had only 12,000 people there on a Saturday night.
Halloween, yeah.
Which is...
more than Phoenix's 7.
Yes, but I mean,
Or
for
Arizona's.
a franchise that's... They claim the fan base might be tired and giving up.
Yeah, they need to find something. Only one playoff berth since inception.
But they have a win.
But they've won a game.
They do have a win. They do.
Hopefully that'll
That's
end
true.
soon.
Yeah, and I hope for Columbus fans, and this is me reaching out to Columbus fans, from a Toronto fan, don't give up hope. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. Maybe not a cup, but playoffs. It could happen.
I feel like when you saying that, like if I had a video on you, I would have been in black and white, and it would have been like one of the there's only Dane Cook said there's only 2 kind of Oprah episodes. There's a happy one where everybody gets a whale, you get a whale, you get a whale, everybody gets a school and faculty, and then there's just like the other episode, black and white, beam of light on Oprah, pedophiles. Except that's Craig. Just it gets better. Listen, and you're in a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey from when you were a kid, so it's obviously like youth size small. It's skin tight on you, like
Although,
it gets better.
That's
and you're
some
wearing
false
a
hope
hat
coming from
that's
someone wearing a Leafs fan because they're going to say it's going to get better, but it hasn't gotten better for a long time.
man. I think they drafted the wrong Nylander. His little brother has 18 points through like 12 games, and is just tearing up the OHL.
He's also not draft eligible yet.
This season, is he not?
You know who?
Yeah,
I
but
forget his
there's
first
Austin
name.
Matthews.
You know who turned up the OHL one day or back in the day? Chris Thorburn. Yeah,
That's true, he
Think
did.
about that one.
Hey,
Paul
That's not
Bissonnette
my-
also had a good junior career.
So
yeah.
But
Maybe,
I understand
maybe,
what you're
maybe,
where you're coming
maybe.
from. But no one
Anyways.
beats Dale Howardchuk's 100 or whatever it was, 286 points in 144 games.
That
Yeah,
happened.
crazy.
That was real.
That happened.
It gets
exists.
better, Columbus fans.
Yeah, even
it
though
does
you
get
know.
better. You will play the Leafs eventually.
Essentially, what I'm saying, Bobrovsky got pulled after the first period. Curtis McElhinney went in. Hopefully, Bobrovsky can start playing again because I think everybody in the NHL wants him to do better. Or fans, like I was reading on Twitter, Winnipeg Jets fans are saying, "Man, I want him to be that elite goalie that he was again because he has that ability to do it." So hopefully, the sheriff can get off his ass and maybe give Bobrovsky a bit of a break.
The sheriff?
Yeah, you don't remember Jay and Dan's or.
You're off the case, Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we're...
He was off the
Are
case.
we going to call
Saturday night.
Tortorella the sheriff now?
Tortorella can be the sheriff, yeah.
Okay.
Because he can control if Bobrovsky's on the case or not.
All right.
If he's in the game or not. That's a stretch. Okay, let's go to the next game where Michael Condon.
Should mention Andrew
Vesna-
Kopp scored his first NHL goal in that game.
Yeah, good point.
And then he subsequently got hurt, apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately. He's actually on injured reserve, I believe. Or
Yeah. He's out for the next 2 games.
okay. They played Montreal. Michael Condon taking over for the injured Carey Price. Montreal destroyed Winnipeg in this game.
The Jets look like shit.
Yeah, they
I
looked
watched
tired.
the game. They were not playing well.
Was
They
this
look
a
tired.
back-to-back?
Yeah.
Yes.
They played Saturday, then played Sunday. They went from Columbus to Montreal. I wouldn't say that's like a crazy long trip, but it's tough on
They
players.
probably got
If
in
the
there at
Jets-
like 3 or 4.
If the Jets had put the same effort they put in against Columbus, it would have been a different game. Because Montreal didn't do anything crazy. Just the Jets did not look good.
Tired, they took penalties.
over
Bufflin
the
had another
place.
dirty hit. We
Clean
had a
hit.
hearing for.
Well, they said it was clean.
It was totally clean.
I just want to
Let's
say,
get
stat from last year.
Okay.
I went to ESPN.com.
Okay.
Actually, surprisingly, real good for stats for hockey. Like, they make it super easy.
Mhm.
A dope like me can use a website. Because I was like, I want to know minor penalties.
You are anything from a dope. You are the internet.
Well, whatever. It was super easy to use.
Is
and I liked
ESPN
it.
paying you to plug their website on this?
No, they are not. Don't ask me about my bank account. Okay.
I
It's
won't.
Thousands of dollars
Hey!
in it.
I want my cut.
Harrys.com. I'm just kidding. No one pays us. Bufflin led the Jets last year in minors with 42. He was second in the
That's not
league.
bad.
He's the second in the league in minor penalties, only behind one player.
Scott Hartnell.
No, Steve Downey.
Okay.
Downey at 48.
Fair enough.
But the Jets led the league in minor penalties. I did not know.
I knew that.
I knew that.
373.
They harped on
I
that
didn't-
all last year.
Yep.
Really?
And how many does he have this year?
Oh, I don't know how many.
I would say
he has.
Bufflin's around 8 already, if not more.
Minors?
Minor penalties.
Did he get a penalty for that hit?
He did.
Yes.
I didn't watch the game, so
He got a penalty for elbowing, which was a joke because there was no elbow.
it was up and under.
was up.
They have to call that.
Well, they have to call it real
Yes.
time. I get that. You should tweet, I think, NHL Player Safety put out a video explaining why he didn't get suspended. I watched it, tweet it, because they do a very good job of explaining. It's a pretty in-depth of why he did not get suspended.
Because they feel the primary point of contact wasn't the head, it was the shoulder.
Primary point of contact was not the head. Byfuglien was going for the puck. He played the puck.
Yeah.
He braced for contact. He hit a guy a third his size. They mentioned that. Gallagher did not brace himself at all. Gallagher was gonna...
He flipped and died.
Yeah.
It was just, it was like hitting a brick wall. It's like, have you ever seen a kid like running in a, like a playground and then he like runs into a pole or something like that, totally unsuspecting? That's what Brendan Gallagher did.
Yep. Yep.
But Dustin Byfuglien was that pole. Now,
I just wanted to say, what was I saying? Yeah, so Gallagher did not. They showed Gallagher didn't brace himself. He was gonna hit Byfuglien no matter what. He was going 100 miles an hour into him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it obviously looks bad with the size differential. Byfuglien's elbow comes up after the fact, which in real time probably makes it look bad. So fair enough. They call a penalty on it. I'm shocked he got a hearing on this hit. I think he's had worse hits this year. I think when he rubbed Palmenville out into the boards when he was on his knees. If anything he's done was going to get a hearing,
yeah,
that's the one. I have no problem with the hit on Gallagher. It looked bad, but when you slow it down, it's a big guy hitting a small guy.
maybe they did the hearing just to show, well, one, regulate Dustin Byfuglien a bit more, saying, we're taking notice now. Because, in my opinion and in other people's opinions, this is the third or fourth hit that's borderline. This is a borderline hit. It's not an illegal hit because primary point of contact wasn't the head, but it's borderline because it got contacted by the NHL. And this could be the NHL saying, okay, we're taking notice, but it's also showing Montreal fans, because we know how much Montreal fans love to blow things out of proportion. Like trying to get Zdeno Chara to go to jail for the Max Pacioretty.
Yeah.
They knew the greatness that Max Pacioretty was, their future captain and leader.
Yeah, I was in my car the next day, and I was listening to TSN 1290, and they were playing audio from TSN in Montreal, because they had Bob McKenzie on, and Bob McKenzie was explaining the different ways that they could go about it, because this is before they announced the hearing. And the Montreal guy pretty much cut it, and he's like, come on, Bobby, put his elbow up, it's clear as day, friggin' hit him in the head. And Bob McKenzie's like, I'll say one thing, it wasn't an elbow. So when Bob McKenzie gets mad, it's like, yeah, I understand Montreal fans are very passionate.
Yeah,
So.
and you know what? When you watch it real time, and I was watching it, it looks more. I think it looks dirtier than it is.
Yeah.
When you slow it down, and that's the one thing I love about NHL player safety is they'll put these videos out and explain why. And I think it worked twofold. I think it showed Montreal fans exactly why he's not getting suspended, and also puts Byfuglien on notice, saying we're watching you now.
Yeah.
And maybe this is going to regulate Dustin Byfuglien just a little bit more because he's playing well. And I still think great trade value.
Yeah.
But
I think, too, real time, because I think real time, they think Byfuglien just blindsided him out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you slow it down, you realize that they're going at each other, and Byfuglien's going this way, Gallagher's going that way. There's not much going to...
And you got to think that players have, just both of them, they're both obviously in the NHL. They're pretty aware of pretty much everyone on the ice at all times.
Yeah.
So you got to think they know what they're doing. And Gallagher has also had a certain reputation of stirring it up. So he knows when to make it look like he's not looking when you're like, come on. You're going right at the guy.
The other thing, too, is I don't blame the ref for calling this because the game happens so fast. You see the way Byfuglien follows through with the hit where his elbow does come up. However, he doesn't hit him with the elbow. He hits him with his shoulder. And it happens all the time in the NHL where that gets called because the elbow flies up. And it's just a natural defense mechanism where...
So you don't fall, yeah?
Yeah, and it's just to brace your body movement. So I don't blame the ref for calling a penalty there. Not the right call, but I don't blame him because the game happens.
No, yeah,
fast.
there's no way you don't call that. You just can't.
I had a revelation this week. I was talking... I know in the past I've said how much I think the Jets should trade Dustin Byfuglien. I think the only scenario now that they should trade him is if he will only sign for 5+ years. I think if they can get him for 3 or less, I think they can keep him. They can pay him that $7-8 million. I think that's reasonable for 3 years. As soon as it's more, that's when you start looking elsewhere. Because as it was put to me, he's like no one else in the NHL.
He's a big boy.
He's like no other player in the NHL, and you want that on your team. And you know what? I've come around to the fact that you want him on your team. But I don't want him for at 35, where he slowed down quite a bit for $7 million. So that's where.
And I think the Jets are more than willing to pay him $8 million for 4 years.
Yeah, or whatever.
It's when he gets 5+ that it becomes a problem.
Exactly. It's when he's 37
and you can't front load contracts anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
New Jersey, thanks.
But
Just
you know
kidding,
what?
Philly
And
too.
you know what?
They made
At the beginning of the year,
Tampa Bay.
I said the Jets had so much depth on defense that they could let him go. Jacob Trouba has not looked good this year.
No.
Yeah,
He's struggling. He's
Yeah.
struggling. Toby Enstrom has not looked good this year. Tyler Myers has looked very shaky at times. So maybe you need Bufflin back there to hold everything together.
And I've said this to you. I've said this to Cam. I've said this on this podcast multiple times. When he is playing his position, he is one of the best defensemen in the league. That it's the second that he tries to do too much, that's when he gets himself in trouble. And Winnipeg, when they played Columbus this year, that was their third time all year scoring first. Luckily, fourth time tonight against Toronto, but that's 4 times that they've scored first. So they're always playing from behind. And that's not something you want to see from a playoff team, from a great team. Because you see teams like Anaheim from last year, or the great playoff teams, they don't lose if they're up after 2 periods, right? Very, very good teams don't lose games if they're up after the second period. And as we can tell from last year's track record, if the Jets are losing going into the second period, game's over. Because they didn't win any games last year. So they have to find a way to fix that. I think that's their biggest problem. I understand the defense issue right now where you've got guys like Trouba, Myers, Enstrom who haven't looked good. I've thought Mark Stewart's looked great so far this year.
I would agree.
Ben Sherratt, you don't notice him, which is exactly what you want from him.
Yep, he's been good.
And yeah, maybe it's time that they sit Jacob Trouba for a game, bring Jay Harrison up, let him play. I think it can only help the team out.
Wait, Jacob Trouba's still on his rookie contract, eh?
Yeah.
So no one could claim him if they put him on waivers, technically?
Technically.
Maybe we should give him
Wow.
some of that Bobby Orr and put him
Bobby
in the AHL for
Maybe-
just like a weekend.
Maybe just get his confidence up. Jacob Trouba suspended 28 games for just killing everyone.
Does sitting him hurt his confidence or help his confidence?
I think sitting him
It checks
shows
his confidence.
Checks it?
Yeah.
might,
To me,
it could also be injury stuff.
That's what I'm thinking too. He's
You-
just looked to step off. Like
You could also,
he's
not-
looked slow.
not to interrupt you, but
Sorry.
it could just be one of those scenarios where it's like, okay, Jacob, we know that you haven't played to your standards. You're not playing we're just going to sit you down. We're going to let you have a breather, absorb, try to just, and refocus. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you just need that little bit of time off to regain yourself. Because getting healthy scratch isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a refocus moment for you. Because you're saying, I'm not doing the best I can do, right? Have you ever had a bad day at work or at school and you just decide to go home, or, work lets you go home early so you can sit down, kind of decompress? Maybe that's what Jacob Trouba needs, and that's maybe what'll get him back on track this season.
Hopefully.
To finish off the week that was, Winnipeg played Toronto tonight and won 4-2. So 3-1 in the last 4 games to start off, and 2-1 on their current Eastern Road swing. Tomorrow they play Ottawa. So all signs are looking good so far. They only lost the best team in the league so far, which is pretty darn good, I think. How would you guys, to compare it to last year's team, how would you guys say the team's been doing so far compared to last year? If you remember.
scoring a lot more.
Yeah.
Or sorry, they look not necessarily scoring a lot more. They look way more confident with the puck than I've ever seen them since they got back.
Yep. They always had the talent. They just didn't have the confidence, and I think they found the confidence.
And just in time for Saturday, the god that is Ginger Jesus coming to town to probably lose. But whatever.
Well, I mean, to Cam's point, they're scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Like, look at the offensive. Like, Blake Wheeler's, I think he's 3rd in the league in scoring right now.
He's got 8. Well, how many points do you have tonight?
He had 2 tonight, so I think he's got 16 on the year, which I think puts him 3rd.
Yeah.
And they never have anybody up there. They never have anybody well above a point a game pace, and right now he's on that.
Yeah.
And even Brian Little's pretty dang close up there, too.
How many goals does Wheeler have right now?
I'll check right now.
I'm just saying right now, the way... what game did I catch?
He's got more assists, because he always does pass the
I
puck.
caught a bit of the Habs game, and when Wheeler had the puck, not that he didn't do anything crazy different, but when he was near the puck, even without the puck, he just went to the net. Not that he hadn't before, but the way he went to the net reminds me of like the way like what I'm trying to get is he looks like a goal scorer now, like a 30 goal scorer. I could actually see Blake Wheeler cracking 30 goals. Has he ever done that before?
He had 28 last year.
Okay, so he was awfully close. But like, I would consider like anything 25 plus goal scorer. You know what you're doing anyways. But like he looks like a guy who I'm gonna shoot it at the net, and he's probably gonna just tip it or he'll get there.
He's always been a very unselfish. I think I've always said he passes too much.
Yeah,
because he'll have a 2-on-1 or something, and he'll always look for the pass. And I've always thought he's fast enough and he's talented enough to be one of those guys that can dangle in and out of everybody and make you look stupid and do those really nice plays. And this year he's doing it.
Well, and he doesn't even
He's shooting the puck this year. He's become the guy in the Jets that the other teams that's the guy they want to control because he's the most dangerous guy on the ice.
And by doing so,
and it frees up room for Nikolai Ehlers.
Yeah, perfect. There you go.
Who also looks like he could one day be.
I think he's 4th in rookie scoring right now.
Yes,
he's
9 points in 12 games.
And he might even become 3rd or 2nd eventually, just because of what last night.
Happened to Connor McDavid, which I do want to talk about.
Oh, we're just going to talk about it now?
No, I wanted to just wrap up the Jets quickly and then go into mailbag. To Dan's question, Blake Wheeler 6 goals, Brian Little also 6 goals. Blake Wheeler now has 16 points, places in the top 5 in scoring as of right now. So, 16 points. I want to talk about the 2 leaders in the NHL right now, but we can talk about that in a second.
The scary thing I just want to say about Blake Wheeler, he always used to start slow and then he just kill it for the second half. If he does that this year, whew.
So maybe he'll just stay consistent.
Well, hopefully. But
now,
he's always been a guy that gets better.
He's always had the Jerome McGinley effect. It's like, oh my god, it's so slow.
No points in the first 20, but he gets like 2 points a game in the
exactly.
like the middle 30.
The biggest surprise to me that I've seen all year this year, and something that was different from last year, we haven't gone on the podcast and talked about how shitty Havlic's been or how disappointing Michael Hutchinson's been. They've been excellent. Both of them have been. Sure, Montreal game, but that's going to happen every once in a while. Right?
Well,
the goals weren't really
at Montreal on the weekend,
and the goals weren't
really
after
back to back for your team. It's tough,
and the goals weren't really goalie's fault. They were 2-on-1s, breakaways,
rebounds,
a couple bad bounces.
Who had the breakaway? Paul Byron.
Yeah,
that was a good move.
That was a nice move.
That was nice.
And then two rebounds. He makes the initial save, and then the guy's just on the doorstep.
And the goal that went on Pavlik, it was a power play, and they fired a pass across the crease, and it just hit someone's leg and went top corner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that happens.
That's going in on every goalie.
That's going in on the Jets once a game.
Yeah.
It always happens.
But I think that's been their. I think scoring's been great, but their strongest thing has been net so far. I think that the goaltending has been fantastic, and then it begs the question: when are guys like Eric Comrie and Connor Hellebuck going to get in with these two guys playing just outstanding hockey right now?
I'd say that's a good problem to have.
Oh, I
think
I totally agree with you.
The Philadelphia Flyers will be making a phone call to the Jets later.
Before we move off the Jets,
probably.
do we want to dabble into the Peluso-Patan debate? Because it's been all over Twitter this week, and I've seen
much for what
people just get mad when they put Peluso in and sit Nick Patan.
Okay, they do that,
and I can see. Sorry, not to interrupt, but I can see it. But they put Peluso in if it's a physical team, and it's been widely debated. I pulled up some stats. Patan's played 9 games. Peluso's played 4. They each have a point. Shots on goal are pretty darn close. Patan's a +1. Peluso's even. Sorry, Peluso's +1. Patan's even. So, I mean, giveaways...
It's literally... We don't even need to look at stats. It's just the physical size. That's
it is.
What
so, I mean... But I'm saying, is there a point in having Nick Patan there when he's only got 1 point through 9 games?
Instead of putting him in the A like we've discussed and just like...
It's clear that you could put Peluso there and your fourth line will be okay. He's not nowhere near as talented as Patan, but I don't know.
Well, now Patan's going to get the chance to play all the time.
That's true.
What?
With Kopp being hurt.
Patan's playing center now.
Patan's going to be fourth line center. So he'll have... This is going to be his chance to show. I think if Kopp doesn't get hurt, I don't see why they don't just send him down to the AHL and let him play there and be the first call-up. Now, he's that first call-up. He's the first guy going to be slotted in. So this is his chance to really prove that he can, one, play every night in the NHL. And the other thing, too, is the Jets haven't given him a chance to play against the bigger teams yet. So maybe they should let him have that chance. Although he's going against Ottawa and give me Philadelphia in his next 2 games, so we'll see what happens there. And hopefully he can shine, and hopefully he can look as talented as he can be. The reason why I think they're keeping him on the team is when he's in the lineup, he plays power play minutes. Peluso doesn't. So I think they like him on the power play.
Also, just to add, I read this. He's burning a year of his contract this year no matter where he's playing.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter if he plays less than 10 games in the NHL. He still burns a year of his contract. So that also could be why they're keeping. It doesn't matter if he's riding pine or if he's playing in the AHL or if he's on your first line. He's burning a year of his contract.
Yeah. And last note on the Jets, goaltenders right now, both of them in the top 20 in the NHL in save percentage. Michael Hutchinson at .925. And that's after Montreal, after letting in 4 goals. And then you have Andre Pavlik at .919. And at 20th. So that's still pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. Now we'll reach into that mailbag, Cameron. What was that sound effect?
I don't know. It was terrible.
Remember when we made a mailbag song and then we never kept it? We said it like one podcast.
There's a reason you didn't keep it.
Because it was amazing.
It was amazing.
You have to go back and find it.
It was a one-time thing.
It was amazingly bad.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you can start us off, Cam. We got about 20 minutes here to finish.
Mailbag. Oh, okay. Am I going?
Sorry, that's all we got.
We have mailbag.
Are we going off with the heavy hitter first?
We'll go off the heavy hitter.
Okay, Connor McDavid.
Oh, that's not the heavy hitter.
Okay, then you tell me.
No,
that's why you lead the heavy hitter.
I'm just kidding. No, I wanted to start with McDavid, and then we'll go into something else.
That's why I said Connor.
I know. I was giving you a hard time.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Tired of you.
Any flow we had just went out the window.
We don't have it.
We don't have flow. We don't flow.
No, we don't. Connor McDavid was named Rookie of the Month. He had 5 goals, 7 assists, and 12 points in the month of October. And then within the next couple games, I believe, right after that, last night, he played the Flyers. And there wasn't...
God damn it, Flyers. Can't we have one nice thing?
No.
Can't the NHL have something nice?
Not even Flyers.
Either the Flyers win or nobody wins.
That's exactly what happens. And Connor McDavid, there was... Obviously, the puck was behind the net. He was going to get it. He kind of slipped up between Brandon Manning and Michael Del Zotto. And he got up favoring his left, or was it? Yeah, left kind of shoulder-ish area. Didn't return to the game only to find out that he had surgery today to repair a broken left clavicle. What's a fancy word for clavicle? Damn.
7 to 8 week injury.
Clavicle is a fancy word for collarbone.
Collarbone.
7 to 8 week injury.
So
recovery time. Yeah, looks like 2 months.
Jesus.
So we'll probably see him in the new year, ready to go.
Or is this employed to send him to World Juniors again?
Holy shit! Yeah, you can. They did with Anthony Duclair last year.
That's true.
What happens in that? Do they say, yeah, you can warm up? No, because if they send him to World Juniors, he has to stay in. He has to stay down.
Does he?
Can they lend him and bring him back?
Well, Duclair, they could have brought Duclair back.
It doesn't matter if you're on a junior team. You could be playing pro and leave and then come back.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Connor McDavid, here you go.
Oh
We're bringing
my
up
God,
another
yes.
World Junior goal, baby. Doggy.
Wait, did we win gold last year?
Yeah,
We damn right won gold last year.
Yeah.
We're winning gold
Shit.
again this year.
Yeah, gold or bust for Canada in any international hockey tournament.
Yeah.
That'd be like if
Brazil in World Cup?
Oh, we don't bring that up.
Oh.
That was bad. You don't remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
5-1 with Germany? Jesus.
At their home
That
in
was
Brazil.
Nice. Basically, what we're trying to say is get well, Connor, because Canada needs you.
Yeah.
Not the Oilers. They're fine.
Taylor Hall looks like a man, by the way.
He's
looking like a man now.
player.
Speaking of the draft class, Taylor Hall, Tyler Seguin became the first player out of that draft class that had 300 points.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Probably got 280 of them in the last 2 years.
About so. That is right on par, I believe.
I can tell you that Tyler Seguin has 20 points so far this season.
That's crazy.
Tied with teammate Jimmy Benn for league lead.
They're just tearing it up. It happens.
I'm sure Boston's really loving that trade still.
Hey, Louis Eriksson is now one of the tallest players on the team, okay?
Did I ever tell you the story how I think Boston could have had Jamie Benn?
Oh, yeah, I've heard that
Because they
story.
traded a draft pick to Columbus for Seidenberg? No, McQuaid.
Okay.
and that draft pick from Columbus went to Dallas, and it was Jamie Benn. They could have had Sagan and Benn at one point.
I don't like the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. It's so
I'm just saying.
Everybody loses at the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. Everybody.
Unless you're Pittsburgh.
True.
If Boston fans are looking at the top 3 scorers in the league right now, they could have had all 3 of them. They did have all 3 of them.
3 of the top 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
What, they had the pick that became Jeremy Benn, Tyler Sagan,
Blake Wheeler.
Blake
Blake Wheeler's
Wheeler.
in top 5, not top 3.
Well, he's tied.
No, but 3 of the top 5.
Yeah.
3 of the top 5 they could. They
Hey, that
had
could be a
or could have
whole.
had.
Wait, that is literally a whole line because Ben plays left.
Holy
And
shit.
actually-
Ben plays center.
actually-
Wheeler
Holy
plays
shit.
right. Whoa.
The funny thing is, the 4th guy they have, David Krejci.
That's scary. Could you imagine that being their
I
first
just want
line?
to say,
or second
shout
line?
out one time to the drafting of Boston via everyone else, right?
Yeah, everyone
Their
else is
picks
thank
bring you gold.
Totally.
You want Boston picks. They can't pick for themselves because obviously 3 chances in the first round doesn't get you shit. But
No, they can't do draft picks of their own. Like Toronto draft picks, they pick Sagan and Dougie Hamilton.
oh yeah, no, they just can't have their own. We learned that this year based.
Well,
off
they
of
got LA and Calgary, but still.
yeah. You don't.
They
You
couldn't
want.
pick
You
their
want
own.
it if you're trading. You know what? I got to trade for you.
Who did they draft with Calgary's pick this year?
That's the problem. No one knows.
That guy's going to be a star on a different team in 7 years.
Could be.
With
well,
Calgary's
he
draft?
failed. He failed his physical.
Well, there was
that's fine.
it was
They all failed their physicals this
Jakob
year.
Zaboral, Jake DeBrusk, and Zachary Senchishin. So it would have been Jake DeBrusk, who his pick.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Wow, that's depressing.
Sad
And
time for Bruins.
remember when we were talking about Dallas being kind of not that great last year, and now they have goaltending.
You mean Dan
Antoniemi?
saying
Yeah.
Dallas is gonna be not that great this year?
I said.
So
I said if they got goaltending, they'd be good. I said they were piss awful at defense
Damn it,
last
Dan
year,
is
which
a-
is not
Dan's a messiah.
wrong.
Dan, he doesn't say the. It's true. He said they needed goaltending, so they went out and got another number 1 goaltender.
And
Well,
paid him
Dan,
a
tell
lot of
me,
money.
can you read me the future on the Flyers? And okay, let me shake this hypothetical ball. Flyers in the future.
Moving to Quebec.
Ah, you. That'd be awful. That
Just
would
kidding.
suck.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, who's the captain though?
Of what? Dallas.
Philly.
Oh, I didn't.
He's a
isn't it
French
Giroux?
speaking. They'd love him.
Isn't Giroux?
Claude
Oh
Giroux.
yeah, they would love him. And yeah, they would
Yeah.
probably.
All right. Let's move on. Canada. Team Canada is going allegedly to name Mike Babcock the coach for Team Canada at the World Cup.
Oh, cool.
Good for him.
I wanted to talk about something that was NHL related because this is the NHL night.
NHL. It's hockey related.
Okay. Well,
Go.
nonetheless.
What's NHL related?
Cam's favorite player returned to his humble abode of 8 years on
Oh.
Saturday night. Phil Kessel returned to the Air Canada Center
Ah.
to a wave of fucking booze. Now, I was on a stream of consciousness not last week, and I want to take you guys for another
Stream of
journey.
consciousness.
You just let him go.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go on another mini rant this week.
Okay, hold on. I
we
brought
go.
to put my seatbelt on. Dan, safety, buckle in. Oh, Dan's going with not over the shoulder. He's going with just a waist strap.
Going with the airplane belt.
Airplane belt.
Okay. Now I've
Wait
been a
for the
Leaf
oxygen
fan.
thing to drop down.
This is why this podcast needs to be video. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
we could do the fourth wall
Fourth
breaks.
wall break.
And just look at the camera.
Hey, what's up? I love how the last 30 seconds is for no one but us.
Exactly.
Okay. You've been a Leafs fan for how long?
My entire life.
And what?
I'm
how did
gonna-
that make you feel when people booed your best player for the last 7 years?
See, it didn't make me feel. I just looked at to people and said, "You guys are idiots," and then Glenn Healy had to say the rudest thing he could say. So I'm gonna vent and rant. This is my avenue to do it. I'm gonna make it short. I'm gonna make it coherent, hopefully. So let me just start. This guy played 7 seasons in the blue and white. Yes, they are holding up their fingers right now. That's fine. He led the team in points for, I believe, 6 of those years. Never missed one game in his entire time there after he came back from shoulder surgery in his first season. Never missed a game. And then on top of that, he took the team to the playoffs with James Reimer. They almost beat the Bruins in Game 7. Obviously a tragedy. But he took some inner demons away from him by being able to play against the Bruins, score against them in the playoffs, and took the monkey off his back and really came into his own. This guy scored 30 goals every year but 1 year in Toronto. He was fantastic, and then they have the nerve to boo him because the media has turned everyone in Toronto against him because his workmanship isn't there or his attitude is bad. You know what? I don't care. He scored goals, he showed up to the rink every day, and he tried. That's what I want out of my player. That's what I want out of my number one player. You know what? And he shut up. He never talked about how good he was, never talked about how much better he was than someone else. You know what? He was a good Canadian kid who never told anybody he was a good Canadian kid, and he's American for that matter. So, I have a lot of issues with people booing a guy like that. He was a class act, even though he didn't want to talk to the media, which made everyone turn on him, which I think is stupid. Everyone blamed him last year for the team falling off the cliff, not the fact that the team was poorly built, that Dave Nonis was one of the worst general managers in Toronto Maple Leaf history. No one wants to mention the fact that Randy Carlyle had no control over their team. And then when they went to interim coach, Peter Horacek, they still didn't have much control. They tried to play a defensive system that didn't work and didn't cater to those players. And all in all, he was a victim of a terrible team, and I felt so bad for a guy that didn't deserve this. He never went out. He was not like Evander Kane and said, I want to trade. He never said that. He said how much he loves Toronto, how much he wants to be there, how disappointed he was, how he's called this place home. His last post on Instagram to Toronto said, I'm going to miss my home for the last 8 years. And they have the audacity to boo him. That is ridiculous. And now I'm going to fucking destroy Glenn Healy, who's an idiot. They show how many goals Matt Sundin has scored and how many goals Phil Kessel has scored in the Air Canada Centre. Matt Sundin, 153. Phil Kessel, 103, I believe.
You broke your pen.
That's fine. And then Glenn Healy has the audacity. One of the worst goalies in Leaf history. All you were ever was a terrible backup. Every night Glenn Healy was in net, I was like, great, it's going to be a loss for Toronto because Glenn Healy sucks. Has the audacity to say, oh, Matt Sundin and Phil Kessel mentioned the same sentence. I never thought I'd hear that. Might be the only time ever. No, Glenn, you fucking idiot. He led the team for 7 years, just like your boy Matt Sundin did, for however many years he was in Toronto. If Matt Sundin and Phil Kessel played together, you talk about how these two guys were the top 1-2 pairing in the league because Matt Sundin was an elite centerman and Phil Kessel was an elite winger. And I'm not taking a Toronto bias here. The proof is in the pudding, or in the stats. They're both tremendous hockey players. If they had a chance to play together, they'd only make each other better. How people let guys like him talk on TV is beyond me. I know I'm not allowed to talk on TV because I spur a lot of nonsense and I tell people they're idiots, but truthfully and honestly, how you can say that and think that you're in any way correct because his workmanship was bad, I don't care. He produced every game. Unlike other players that have terrible attitudes and don't produce. Phil Kessel was there every game. He endured all the shit that he had to endure. Terrible team after terrible team after terrible team that put up with a guy like Tyler Bozak as a centerman for 3 years and then get shipped out of town as enemy number one, which is just terrible. So that's end of rant.
I love how Greg talks directly to the phone and points at the phone like Glenn Healy is in the phone.
That's what you do. You gotta.
He's just
visualize.
channeling his inner rage.
It's true though. I mean,
Sorry to people out there.
no, you're
That was
passionate. and
I was
it's true.
expecting it to be worse. You didn't throw anything at all.
The fans booing, like those are like the fans at the game booing are probably like the fans that went out of the way to try and get those tickets just to be, yeah, I'm gonna boo Kessel because he gave me a reason to cheer. Fuck that guy for leaving. No, the team's going in a different direction, and Phil Kessel accepted that, and he said, okay, you know what, you're going to go in a different direction. I'll do what's best for the team, as I've done every year that I've been here. Those are the same type of fans, asterisk, or no, parentheses, finger quotes, that also did what they did in Vancouver. Or the crazy Hab fans that when they win series back in the day, they used to demolish the city streetlights and whatnot. Mm-hmm. They're not fans. They're assholes. That's what they are. And they give real fans like you a bad... Not even everyone's a fan, but they give the passionate fans who actually are thankful for players like that and realize, hey, you know what? I appreciate what he did for my fan base. They give fans like you a bad name. And then, so now, say if you just start talking to someone, they're like, oh, you're a Toronto fan, namely like that one lady that you were talking about that one time, a Habs fan, was like, oh, all Toronto fans are idiots. Because they're pulling their knowledge from a nationally broadcast game, and they're grouping you in that just because fans, allegedly, from the same fan base are shitting on one of their best players. They make everyone look dumb, and it's not acceptable. I.e., at, like, bad fan bases. We're not bad people, but guess what? We cheer for teams, and sometimes, say if Philly, they throw batteries at football players. They boo Santa. Well, then someone obviously might see that clip and be like, oh my God, how can you cheer for them? And be like, I wasn't there for that. I wouldn't condone throwing batteries at someone. Not a good idea.
Who threw batteries at who?
Philly fans threw batteries at the Eagles fans threw batteries at an opposing team years and years ago on the sideline. Like, they threw snowballs and batteries.
Well, you know, quite frankly, they should throw them at their own team this year.
Well, there you go. Exactly. Dan's an Eagles fan.
I am.
But anyways, they're assholes. They're not fans. They're just pricks.
And I'm sick of... I hate people that are just like, haha, Leaf fans deserve this. No, we don't. The bad Leaf fans probably do because they're like Cam said, assholes. But people that follow this team, look at stats, look at things that are, you know, all good things that the Leafs have done in their time, and see the strides they've tried to make only to get pushed back because media pressure and just bad decisions management-wise. And it hurts because I'm a passionate fan, and I'm not saying I know a ton about hockey, but I can hold my own. And a lot of people that seem to make these arguments that Toronto fans are terrible fans don't know much about hockey. Probably couldn't even tell you that Glenn Healy used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I actually didn't know that. I was about to. I'm surprised.
And then, I tweeted this Saturday night because I was in a fury of rage. I'll just read the three tweets I made about this scenario.
Tweets with Greg.
Hashtag. Leaf fans piss me off. A guy led your team for years and you repay him with booze. Classless. Glenn Healy pisses me off more. Yes, Kessel and Sunday deserve to be in the same sentence. They were terrific in their own eras. Only time Glenn Healy and good goalie should be in the same sentence is when not is in front of good goalie.
Nailed that one.
Hashtag burn.
Did you add?
No, I didn't add him. I'm not. No, and the thing is I'm sure if I was in a room or had a coffee or beer with Glenn Healy, we would have a civil conversation, be able to have good points back and forth. You know, like when Dan and I had that debate about Dustin Byfuglien. I was on one end of the phone, he was on the other, and we had an informative debate where we weren't out of the phone going to punch each other in the face, right? So we can have knowledgeable debates because we're actually knowledgeable people. And that's the way I feel that Glenn Healy, if I sat down with him and explained my side, he'd be able to listen, rebuttal, and it'd be a good conversation. So by no means do I actually hate him or think he's an idiot. I just don't agree with his opinion. And that's just the way I am. So
you're allowed to have your own opinion.
Exactly. And I think that more people need to just look at sheer numbers and stats and stop thinking about character. I work with a guy who's a huge Toronto Maple Leaf fan and has that same feeling. Well, I didn't like his character, but he scored goals. Well, where was he last year? The entire team was bad last year. It wasn't just him. You blame it all on one guy. That's the end of that rant. So
good.
Okay.
Well done. Well said.
Do you have anything else to say there, Dan?
No.
Well, then let's close out with the election,
guys. I
guys.
don't think so.
All right. Give us the election.
Okay. 5th worst team in the league, Colorado. Then Calgary, Anaheim, Toronto, Columbus. 2 of those teams were in the playoffs last year. One.
They played each other.
They did.
Yeah. I don't want Anaheim. We talked about this last week. I don't want Anaheim
you know what's sad?
to have that pick.
The team that lost is doing better than the team that won.
Now,
yeah.
I saw this.
Not by much, but...
I saw this yesterday. Oh, did I take the screenshot? Silly me. They showed Calgary's defense. Now, last year, a lot of people know, and it's funny that, look at last... 3 of the 5 last place teams a few years ago had terrible possession numbers when they made the playoffs. Calgary, last year, terrible possession numbers, made the playoffs. Colorado, year before that, terrible possession numbers, won the Western Conference. Toronto, terrible possession numbers, got into the playoffs. Look where they are now. Now, of course, he is a short term. It can work out for you. Long term, it gets you in the basement of the NHL. It looks like. Calgary, I saw some stats from TSN yesterday. They are 25th or worse in every single defensive category, I believe, this season.
What is going on with that? Like, I thought Dougie Hamilton was going to work perfect. I think they're overloaded. I think a trade is coming in the future. For
Dennis Wyman?
Maybe.
I say Chris Russell.
Chris
It's an
Russell.
easier contract to move because he's got 1 year left. He's only making 2-ish.
Okay.
2.5.
So is it just a stirrup they need there, or is it?
I
I think you gotta commit. I think they're obviously not getting rid of Hamilton or Giordano.
I think those are their two mainstays.
Yeah,
But you
and
have
then
to-
other than
yeah.
that, sorry Dan, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, other than that, there's just you can't have players like Chris Russell and Dennis Wideman playing like as a pairing on the third line or third pairing. Where they thrived last year was because Gio went down, everyone was playing roughly 15, 16-ish minutes. And then one pairing would play more than the other on any given evening. Now it's like you have Giordano, you have Brody, you have Hamilton, and they're all guys fully capable of playing 20 minutes.
I just want to say it to your point. If you only played defensive pairings 15 minutes, it would only equal to 45 minutes of a 60-minute game.
That's why I said it. And on any given evening,
Okay.
one would play more than the other.
I'm just giving you a hard
I
time.
said
But yeah,
that, Matt. You guys know this.
I think they're very thin up. Yeah, you have to keep in mind though. Yuri Hudler played out of his mind last year. Like he had 60 some odd points. He's never done that before.
the other thing
He's
too,
not doing it this year. And I know everyone thought Michael Frolik is like the savior of that team, but you have to remember he's not going to save your hockey
He's
team.
a second, third
Everyone
line.
in Winnipeg loved him, but was he a fantastic, high-scoring hockey player? No.
he's just
He was a steady two-way hockey player that everyone liked.
He actually just got his
Perfect.
first career hat trick the other
I
night.
saw that.
perfect. That was good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him, first of all. But
I think they're
Great
thin up,
points.
I think they're thin up front. I think they overachieved last year as a team.
I
really do.
I think we can all agree on that.
But
I think they have issues in net. I think that Dan hit the nail on the head where they're thin up front, and I think having a lot of depth on D is good. But when you only have two defenders against five attackers, you're going to be in trouble because their forwards don't play good D. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. The fact that Hartley won Coach of the Year last year, his team's at the bottom of the league. Patrick Waugh won it the year before. Look where his team is now. Both teams had terrible Corsi numbers and possession numbers. And you can say what you want about advanced stats and analytics, but it's not a perfect world, but it makes sense over the long term.
And I remember last year that they were doing a debate saying of all the surprises, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Calgary, the teams that no one really thought had a chance to make the playoffs. Let's be honest. Ottawa is maybe, but Winnipeg and Calgary, no one thought they were getting in.
Except for you.
Well, I believed.
I know. And you know what?
Dan gives us faith that you should have faith in
You
your
should
team.
have faith.
Unless you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan.
Yes. Have
Because
faith.
you don't want
One
them to
day.
make the playoffs.
One day.
I don't want
One
them
day
to make
it'll
the playoffs
happen.
this year. I want them to get Austin
Oh,
Matthews or Kachuk. Or,
Don't worry. They're
Your
not
move,
going to.
Toronto Phillies, coming for your ass. I need that.
But I remember-
Matthews.
Fuck you.
They said out of
As long as Anaheim doesn't get Austin Matthews.
they said out of Calgary, Winnipeg, which team next year do you think won't be in the same position? And they said Calgary. They said they overachieved.
Yeah, no. And
It's nothing against. They have the foundation. They just got to build around the foundation.
I
think.
agree with that 100%.
I
I
think.
think Sam Bennett, Johnny Gaudreau, they have Mark Giordano, and they have Dougie Hamilton. I think that's a
Sean
great...
Monahan's not bad.
Sean Monahan as well. That's a great first five, right? That's a great first five to build around. I don't think Kari Ramo's a mainstay in the NHL. I don't think he's going to be that great.
Is a question.
Personally, I don't know when they're going to do it, but they're going to need to go out and get a goaltender. Goaltending market is thin right now.
Jets got some.
You got to make a...
Jets got some guys that they can.
Jets are going to make some moves. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future.
Now, I was thinking about this the other day just to tie everything back into the Jets. Let's say the Jets want to sign Ladd and Bufflin. $14 million between the two of them, so 8 and 6, I think. 6 for Ladd, 8 for Bufflin. And then they also have to sign Trouba. I think Trouba not doing well this year only puts the Jets in a more favorable position where they can really offer him that bridge contract. I think both Scheifele and Trouba will take bridge contracts at about $3 million. I think it puts Winnipeg in a power position now to say, do we want to keep Pavlik or ship him and get rid of his contract so we can maybe have a little bit extra room to sign someone else? Because I think we have faith in Michael Hutchinson and we have faith in Connor Hellebuyck to be a good tandem. And that was just something I wanted your guys' opinion on. Do you think that maybe if they get Bufflin, they get Ladd, are able to put bridge contracts with Scheifele and Trouba, do they go out and try to sign a big free agent for 1 year just to make a big push, or do they keep on this steady line of, we're going to keep around what we have, we're going to keep this culture here, and just win when we win?
I'm going to say keep the culture because they're already on a pretty solid pace. I'm not against them. I'd like for them to see if they could do anything with Pavelec. Not that I don't like Pavelec, but I think they already have a pretty solid option 1B in Hutchinson with Hellebuck backing him up.
What do I think, Kay? You bridge Trouba and Scheifele. Trouba's bridge might be higher. I think it might have to be. But it depends, because Scheifele's playing really well this year. I think you bite the bullet on Byfuglien, and I think you sign him. And
short term, though. You got to be short term. You can't do... you cannot do a long-term contract with him. You got to do 3, maximum 4. You can't push him into his late 30s.
Up to 35, I think you'd be okay after that, though. But keep in mind, in 5 years, $8 million might not be much in terms of salary cap.
True.
But I totally agree. I think you bite the bullet, you get a deal done with Byfuglien. I think you dump Ladd for whatever you can get for him.
Okay.
I think you make Wheeler captain, and you, because you have to sign Lowry, you have to sign Hutchinson this year. There's a lot of there's lots of that's my personal. Dustin Byfuglien.
Tough offseason.
I think losing Dustin Byfuglien. Maybe I'm wrong because Ladd's the leader of the team. I think losing Dustin Byfuglien hurts you more than losing Andrew Ladd.
Okay, fair enough.
I think.
Okay.
Because that fear factor leaves other teams.
Yeah.
Byfuglien's a game changer on the ice. Ladd's a game changer behind the scenes. But on the ice, Ladd is, he's nothing wrong with him, but he's not a game changer.
I think if you can get him for another 4-year contract at $6 million, I think you do it.
Yeah.
However, it's...
Oh, and they keep Pavelec. That was my other thing.
Okay. Fair enough. And they've got a very interesting offseason this year. I'm excited to see what happens.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
So, closing words.
Check us out on YouTube if you're listening to us on iTunes. If you're listening to us on YouTube, check us out on iTunes. Last Man NPC for both those platforms.
Oh, if you're on Android, Pocket Casts. It's $3.99. Totally worth your time.
Guys, we didn't do a Moose report.
There is no Moose report.
Okay.
There's no Moose droppings.
Moose is constipated.
I have not purchased that app, but yeah, do it. I guess it's a good podcast.
Oh, it's
app.
excellent. It's
okay.
really
If you're on Android, do that. So you'd find us on Podomatic, correct? If you're on Android? Or it'd be on
just
the app.
type in Last Man NPC
and we're on there. Okay, perfect. So yeah, however you like to listen to your podcast, whether it's YouTube or on your phone, we're there. Just type in Last Man NPC. And if you want to email the show or give us any sort of feedback, write a YouTube comment, rate us on iTunes or any way you watch podcasts. We'll see that. You can email us at lastmannpc@gmail.com or check out our Twitter at lastmannpc.
Yeah!
Next week, Remembrance Day.